Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of AJAWI TV, where we discuss architectural and construction related topics. I'm your host, I'm AJAWI, right? I'm AJAWI, and today I'll be speaking in relation to a topic that I feel is very important. It's a discussion that we need to have as contractors, as designers, as homeowners or property owners, especially returning residents, right? These are some concerns that if you as a contractor pay attention to them, you'll have a better experience. And if the client is aware of them, they also will have a better experience, right? Or they will avoid certain things with contractors, right? So the topic today is your contractor really robbing you, right? It's a notion that most clients will have once they get into a project, and why they have it is because of simple things that happens during the construction. Your contractor may not even be in a position where he's trying to rob you, but because these little things come up, they have the impression that something fishy is going on. So I'm going to be giving you a few tips as contractors that I want you to avoid, and as clients I want you to look out for, so that you can have a smooth project, and at the end of the day you can feel comfortable once your home is turned over to you. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into this video. Alright guys, so the first thing that I want you to do, or I want you to look out for as a contractor, is this. Do not act like you're doing your client a favor. It's a notion that a lot of people do. Like they are doing a project, and the cost for something may come up, or you're in the project and things are going, or you're doing your bill of quantities and you're giving the impression like you're doing the client a favor. So maybe an item is priced within your bill of quantities, and it may be low, the price may be low on your part because you wanted to win this project, right? And because you want to win this project, you're like, no man, it's low, but we'll do it for that, right? You're not doing the client a favor when you're doing their project. You're doing the client a service, right? So do not give the impression that you're doing the client a favor, because when it comes down to it, when you reach a point where these items it becomes due, or it's a situation where there's a cost overrun, you're now going to have the need to go back to the client, and the client is going to be in a position where they're going to say, but you said that you'll do it for this, why are you coming back to me now with a different price, right? So it will give the client the impression that you're trying to rob them, right? So don't make it seem as if you're doing them a favor. If the price for an item, if the price for an item is X, make sure that you indicate that X, because we know that you want to make a profit and the client need a job that is completed and completed properly, right? But if you put yourself in that position, you're going to end up looking like you're trying to rob the client. All right, so that's the first point. So the second point that I want to point out, that sounds weird, but the second point is avoid multiple chains of communication. This one is very important. Avoid multiple chains of communication. I'll give you an example of that for a project that I'm actually doing right now. So I have this client, and I'm communicating to the client and my QS via email, right? So because I haven't confirmed with the client emailed me, WhatsApp me, and then I email the QS. The QS then comes to me via WhatsApp to text me to say, okay, no, he emailed me first saying the price of this item is X, right? I email him to say, hey, send me a proper invoice or estimate, right? He sends me an estimate. I send it to the client, right? But then he sent me a WhatsApp message to say, you know, I sent you the estimate. It covers X, Y, and Z. And in the WhatsApp, I said, no, but based on my email, I asked you to provide a cost for X, Y, and Z. But you didn't do that. What is the cost for X, Y, and Z? And then he told me on WhatsApp, right? The client, who is being communicated to by email, or he's seeing the email between myself and the land surveyor, right? She gets that cost, and then I send her a WhatsApp to say, okay, you know, check your email, please. Then the land surveyor, I know it sounds confusing. That's the whole point of it, right? When I send the new cost to the client is panicking now because they are of the impression that what is going on? I'm seeing multiple costs. Why am I seeing multiple costs when I asked you to do X, Y, and Z? You understand? Simply because the land surveyor was trying to communicate with me via WhatsApp and email, right? Now, when I went back to the land surveyor, I said to him, listen, you have to communicate via email, because when you send me that email, I will then forward it to the client. We want one chain of communication. That will ensure that the client feels comfortable. Remember that they're not in Jamaica. Put yourself in their situation. They're going to feel uncomfortable if I'm coming with multiple costs, 1. 2, I'm coming from different emails, and 3, your email is not being forwarded to them from the same email address, if you understand what I mean. So he wanted to email me from 2 separate email addresses, which I was saying, no, you cannot do that because it's going to become confusing and the client is going to feel some type of way. And I would feel some type of way if I was the client. So at all times, try to put yourself in the client's shoes, try to empathize with the situation so that you can serve the client better. So avoid multiple chains of communication at all costs so that the client can feel comfortable. And as the client, you know, try to establish that main chain of communication, right? For me personally, I will always email my contractors Contractors email me and then I email the client. That's how I keep it. It is easier that way. The communication is clear, and it is less room for misunderstandings. All right. All right, so the next point is avoid sending your client information that is not reflecting your name, right? Or your information. For example, you're a contractor, right? You're on a project and you subcontract some aspect of the work, which is understandable. You're a contractor, you will always subcontract the work to somebody else, right? Now, when you get information to send to your client, do not send information with the name of your subcontractor on it as the client, and then you as the main contractor. You have a subcontractor doing certain aspect of the work, right? Your responsibility as the main contractor, or as the person who the client issued the contract to you, is to ensure that whenever you get receipts or you're doing certificates, you ensure that it is in your name or your company name, because you are the one who the contract is with, right? Having your subordinate's name on a certificate or receipt will give the client an impression that, you know, something is a little bit off. All right, well, it's a means for concern, right? It's cause for concern because the client, remember, the client does not have a contract with that subcontractor. They have a contract with you as the main contractor, and you have subbed that work to a subcontractor. The client doesn't really have a relationship with that subcontractor. In fact, if something goes wrong, the client cannot go to the subcontractor because they did not have any relationship with them or any contract with them, right? They really had a contract with you. Now, I'll give you an example. Say you do an item that is not something that is visible, is a service item, right? Or a treatment for something which you will require a certificate, right? You as the main contractor, you have to ensure that the receipt comes in your name as the client or the project name, and the certificate comes in the project name or you as the main contractor. Or you can have the subcontractor have their name there, but in bracket it must link back to you. So maybe the subcontractor name is John Brown, right? So you could say John Brown bracket main contractor's name, so that the client can realize that, hey, this is just a subcontractor on the site. Because you're dealing with clients who are not in Jamaica or not in the country, they are going to have some reservations as it relates to things like these. And because you are basically sabotaging yourself by doing that, it will cause a problem, right? So try not to do that. If you engage a subcontractor to do something as is normal within construction, ensure that the subcontractor bill you and then you provide the client with that bill, right? So at the end of the day, there is no confusion, right? And ensure that when subcontractors do things on the project, right, the address of the project or the name of the project is attached to it, right? Make sure that happens. That will eliminate any questions. Put yourself in the client's shoes. They're not here. They're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. They're going to feel a little bit uneasy, right, with the whole process. You have to manage that. All right. So the next point is be clear with your communication, right? Be clear. Do not make assumptions. Do not leave room for inferences, right? Within construction, assumptions cost lives, right? Assumptions cost lives, and also it causes mistrust. For example, you prepare a bill for something, right? But you know that the item has to be delivered to the site, but the cost for the delivery is not in it because you wouldn't know what the cost of delivery is yet, right? Make sure that you communicate that to the client. Or there is an item there that says transportation 0, and then you put a little bracket to say available based on distance traveled or based on subcontractor, etc., etc. Be very clear with the client. Say exactly what you mean. Do not say something that will require the client to interpret what you mean, right? Always ensure that you say exactly what you mean. I'll give you an example. One of my clients came to me and they were like, so I did a quotation, right? And on the quotation I have 0 items, and I have bracket available when provided based on subcontractor or something of that sort, right? The client then came back to me to say, so after I pay this, I don't have anything else to pay, right? That was a situation or an opportunity for me to be very clear with the client. So even though it is clearly written on the estimate, I then said to him or her, these items, as you can see, there are zero values because I would not know those costs as yet. For example, on it you will see submittal cost. I would not know what the submittal cost is until I take the drawings to the council and they give me that cost for the submittal. So I won't be able to know that as yet. Printing cost, you will see 0 because I can't know, because I don't know how much sheets will be produced, right? So keep that in mind. So that's an opportunity for me to be very clear, right? To be very clear and to ensure that the customer understands what I mean when I'm communicating to them, right? So be very clear. Do not leave anything for assumptions, right? right, so this point, I think it's killing a lot of us, right? This point is killing a lot of us as contractors, as designers, as architects, as engineers, as especially land surveyors. Answer your phone. Answer your phone. It's very important. It makes returning residents or somebody who is doing construction that is not in the country very uncomfortable when they're calling your phone and they cannot get you. Answer your phone, right? I think it's a very big problem, especially for those that are just coming in, especially for those that get busy, or especially for those that don't understand communication well. You need to be accessible. You're running a business. Answer your phone. If you see a missed call, return that call. It's very important. The person would not have called you. Your client would not have called you if they didn't have something important to say to you. Nobody really wants to be talking to you every minute over the phone for absolutely no reason. So answer your phone, right? And return the call when you miss it, right? For me personally, I have a phone designated to business. I have it with me at all times. I have clients who call me at some ungodly hours, right? And sometimes it's just for me to answer and say, hey, you know, it's kind of late. I'm a little bit tired. Let's talk tomorrow, right? At least they understand, or at least you said something and they got in touch with you, but they just can't speak to you. But answer your phone. Or if you're doing something and you're not where you're supposed to be, right? Just be honest about it. Hey, you know that where I am, I'm not quite ready yet, but you know, let's talk a little later. Just give them an update of where you are. For me personally, because I'm doing multiple drawings at times, certain drawings have to be on hold at one point, or I have to streamline certain things, streamline certain drawings. Maybe that drawing that client is calling me for, it's not quite ready yet. And sometimes I just have to answer the phone and say, hey, you know, give me some time, I'm gonna get to that, or I'm working on it, but I'm not quite ready yet, right? But at least they got me on the phone. A client who is overseas, who just gave you a payment on something, is very uncomfortable when they cannot get you when they call you, right? Answer your phone and return that call. Very important. Very, very, very important. I can't express that enough. If you as a client who is watching this, or you as a returning resident who is watching this, believe that this is a very important topic, just comment in the comment section, answer your phone. All right, so the next point is this. I'm going into a roundabout now, exiting the highway, but the show must go on, right? All right, so the next point is this one. Do not, I don't know why contractors like to do this. Do not over exaggerate things. Do not do it. It's not in your best interest. Right? Do not over exaggerate things. you did a job for a client, and yes, it was done properly. Yes, you know, it takes effort to do what you're doing, but don't let it seem like you just turned water into wine. Don't do it, because sometimes the client will feel as if you are either misleading them, or when there's an inspection and they realize that, hey, you know, what you see as something big is not necessarily something that great to them. Remember, when you get a cake to eat, you're just seeing the cake. You're not seeing the effort that was made behind the scenes to put that cake together. You are not seeing the ingredients, right? The client won't see the ingredients. So don't over exaggerate it. Don't exaggerate it. You have a job to do. Get the job done and get out of there. All right? Don't exaggerate. Also, the next point is that this leads to is, do not over promise. Do not over promise. Don't make promises that you can't keep. Right? They always say that. This road kind of rough. But do not over promise. If anything, under promise and over perform. Right? That's my philosophy. I under promise and over perform. I always do that to my clients, because at the end of the day, I want them to expect Y, and when I give them X, which is Y plus something, right? When I give them that, they're like, oh yes, this is it, because I gave them more than what they expected. But if you gave them an expectation, for example, yeah man, I'm gonna finish the project in 3 weeks, right? I'm gonna finish the project in 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks come and you don't finish the project. You look bad, because you over promised. But if you said, yeah man, we have a 6 months contract, we'll finish the project within the 6 months, and you finish the project within 3 months, you have just overperformed to the client, right? You have just overperformed. So don't overpromise and then underperform. Instead, underpromise and overperform, right? That will put you in a better position. So not because you want to get the project, you're like, oh, this man want to do it, this man can do it for 6 months. Nah man, we can do it for 3 months. Then when you get the project, you cannot do it for the 3 months. In fact, you ended up going 9 months. Doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make sense. A lot of people come to me sometimes and they're like, Andre, I want to get this done within this time, X period of time. And I always say, hey, I can't promise you that, because, you know, I just can't do that. I have other projects that I have to deal with. I mean, if I schedule your project, I'm going to get it done, right? They want it maybe in a 3 month period, and I say, no, it's about 4 months or 6 months to do that, right? When I get to work, I realize that, hey, I'm gonna put somebody else on this project additionally to help me, right? And I get the project done in 2 months, right? Drawing submitted, client is happy within the 2 months. When they look at me, they're like, yo, you promised me 6 months, you know, you give me it in a 2 months. Respect for that. You understand? So that is you making that extra effort to ensure that the client is happy, while not over promising something. Don't over promise, right? Under promise, over perform. That's my view on a few things that you should look out for. So no, the answer is no. Is there a contractor trying to rob you? Sometimes they're not, sometimes they are, but sometimes it's really a matter of misunderstanding, simply because the contractor is not practicing certain things, right? And the client, maybe they're not aware of certain things, so they become uncomfortable, right? So it's your responsibility as the contractor to ensure that communication and the expectations are managed, right? They are managed. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you agree with the points that I gave you, just comment below, say you agree. If you disagree, say you disagree. Tell me why you disagree. I like when people critically review my content, right? I don't want you to just watch and you go on about your business. Yes, you get some. No, review the content. Am I giving you something that is valuable? All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you. Thank you for the 5,000 subscribers. We're at 5,000 and counting. Let's get it to 10,000. All right. I promise that I will try and get some shots off a range, shooting a foam block. I think it's a foam block, the Freeform factory product, because they indicated that it's somewhat bulletproof, right? So I wanted to test that. We're at the 5,000 mark, and I promise you that I will try and get that once I reach 5,000. You gave me the 5,000, so I'm gonna try and reach out back to them and get that done for you. All right, peace out. See you next time. Peace.